Good evening, everybody. Happy Monday night to everyone. Final Fantasy IV fans out there, thank you for coming out. We will be running the Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise Monday Night Weekly Race tonight. I'm Demarin2, and I will be here commentating tonight with Neon Gray. Neon, how are you doing tonight?
I'm not bad. Had a nice evening out here. Glad to see everybody coming out, coming here instead of SGDQ. Please don't forget to go back there. Oh, I was supposed to be watching that instead. Watch us! And how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. I'm always excited to be here, excited to call another weekly race. So if you could just take us through, what are we doing tonight exactly?
Okay, this is, of course, the Free Enterprise Randomizer. If you're not familiar with that, it is an open-world randomizer for Final Fantasy IV. It starts you off with an airship and sets you loose in the world on a treasure hunt. You're off to find, in this variant, it's our normal variant, you're just looking for the crystal to let you be able to harm the final boss. And you're looking for a way to get to the final boss, which in this case is either going to be the pass or the darkness crystal. And this evening, either one of those are going to be in our key items, which we're going to be getting from the various events throughout the game.
Yeah, we're going to start with a lot of different options, and I'm sure that we'll see a fair bit of different routing. One of the things that for new people will notice that we actually will have the J flag up, so Japanese items will be loaded up and ready to go. Gives a lot of flexibility in the things that you can do. Self-wall is an option. Damage items do exist in the game, which do open up some options. Bacchus wine, sirens, coffins, the big three, as I lovingly call them. But what other interesting flags do we have tonight?
Well, in addition to the J items, we also are going to be looking at the K2 flag, which that changes the key items, which open up your various events and dungeons available. With K2 up, that will take away some of those key items from those normal spots. Like, ordinarily, you would be able to say, go kill the antlion. It would always give you a key item on the K1 flag. On the K2, it moves some of those key items to either the summon monster bosses, so Bahamut, Odin, Asura, and Leviathan, or whatever bosses in those spots, and it will also place some of them, hopefully nothing too important if the racers are lucky, up in the lunar subterrane, with the bosses up there. And some of those can be pretty nasty, and sometimes, you can find something really important that's blocking progression up there. If we do see that, we could be in for a long ride. We're also looking at the treasure and shop flags, which will change what items our racers have available to them. For T3, that means we're going to be seeing pretty much everything available. We're not going to see the really powerful items, so we're not going to be stumbling over, like, adamant armor lying in the grass somewhere. But we could still run into things like, crystal armor, except the swords, or we could run into Avengers, which, as I see, our racers are going to be starting off with Kain, who is himself a very powerful character, but he's best when he's got an Avenger. We're going to have people who are holding out for one of those. With S2, though, we're not going to see a lot in our shops. We're going to see... It's called a balanced distribution. So we'll see some better things once our players go into the underground. But for the shops, we're going to see them have balanced things. We're not going to see a lot of people going into those shops once they've got a few necessities, like, say, life potions. Or, depending on their parties, they might want to hold out for some Cure 3, something like that. We're not going to be seeing the really powerful J items in there either, so if they want one of those early game changers, like a Stardust or something, they're going to have to hope they find it. The other interesting thing with the shops is that all items in shops are free. So they'll just be able to walk in and get a stack of 99 of anything in there. There's an even more interesting reason why those shops are free, and that's because we're also playing with glitches on. Now, one of the most famous glitches in Final Fantasy II or 4 is the duplication glitch. So that's kind of a time saver. If you've got glitches on, you're going to be able to buy out a shop anyway. There's no reason to have a shop cost you things. But it also does enable a couple other interesting glitches. So we're probably going to be seeing some magic points underflowing. We're going to see the warp glitch in the dwarf castle. And they're off.
Yeah, so just to peel back as we do get started here, again, we've got our 4 racers. We are racing with 4 racers. So we have in the top left Mechalink, who is pretty well known in our community. As we work the vanilla start here, we've got Team Bros, we've got Cecil and Kane. In the bottom left, you may more know him from his work with Z3R. You may know him more with his work for commentary, but Patage has also been working this game a lot, so it'll be good to see him kind of get off to a good start. Top right corner is Obda Jr., who is a name that's new to this community, but he's been running Final Fantasy IV on and off, or mostly on, to be fair, for a very long time. Got to watch him stream, and there's some sharpness there that, I'm sure that we'll see. And in the bottom right, we've got another long-timer from the Final Fantasy communities in Ravlin Bay. So it'll be great to see all 4 of these runners and see what they decide to do. It looks like that they're all starting off with a pretty similar start, which is they're trying to sweep up some items and check the item shop in Baron. Nothing really interesting in the item shop, though.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see much of interest in the item shops here. I do see we're getting some Artemis arrows up in the Baron Inn, though. And once we get a character who could use arrows, that could be pretty interesting.
Absolutely. So,
there are Star Veils in Agart, looks like. Obda Jr. has found some there.
Yep, Star Veils are a great item because they let you self-cast wall. Any boss that casts nasty single-target magic, be it, say, Golbez or Bahamut, will fall over pretty quickly to the power of a Star Veil, which will block the spells and send them hurtling back towards their caster. Mega nuking Bahamut for 9999 is always a very pleasurable way to go.
Yeah, can't complain with that. If you run into him early, you can damage him down, but nothing's as satisfying as just giving him a taste of his own medicine.
Absolutely. So in terms of differentials and routing now, we do see a couple of people diverging. Batasia's cleaning out the backside of Baron, finds a Shadow Sword, not terribly useful. Finds an exit, which is way more useful because it'll shorten up the trip into, say, Antlion Cave.
Yes, and I'm seeing over in Mysidia, we've got rune bracelets and we've got sirens. So we are definitely going to be seeing a lot of eggs smashed later on.
Yeah, and a lot of people may miss the sirens in Mysidia because with the no free lunch flag, that turns off all of the free characters in the plot line. So it turns off Mysidia, it turns off the character at Ordeals, at Watery Pass, at Damison. So that's 5 characters that get turned away, but also since Mysidia doesn't have a character anymore, it drops greatly in priority. This tends to be interesting because if you forget to go there and you forget sirens, you can get yourself into a lot of trouble very quickly because sirens are a pretty efficient way to get yourself a lot of experience.
Yeah, and with the pass mixed in with the key items, that too gives us a lot less reason to comb every single item shop that we run into. But it does seem like I've seen a couple find them there, so hopefully everyone does find them because that is going to make the grind a lot less painful for a lot of people. And there's life, cabin, and exits over in Silvera, which is a very nice find. That's a very solid item shop there.
Yeah, having gone through my fair share of lifeless seeds where life potions don't exist, those can be nightmarish, especially without a white mage and just running Cecil and Kane. So having any sort of curatives is going to be handy. I'm surprised to see people going after bosses without having found Cure 2, though.
It depends. I mean, maybe they're hoping they can jump. I know I did see a wind spear in being found in Baron, so maybe they're hoping that the slightly superior weapon on a jump with Kane, which does look like what Ravlin's doing. So maybe they're hoping that's going to make a difference. It certainly can that early on for the early bosses. but I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah, so we started on the Twin Heart, so that actually opens up access to a new location, so we do have access to Cave Magnus at this point. Ravlin is trying to get Rydia off of the top of Mount Hobbs because it is not a free character, you have to fight a boss. Mob Bomb I don't know if is the best boss for this sort of three-person jump strategy, but we'll see if they survive the explosion.
Yeah, I probably would have bailed if I saw Mom Bomb and Rydia there, but, if that fight can be won, then it's certainly worth going for. I don't think we're in luck this time, though.
I mean, you desperately need the characters.
Oh, we got a Gaia drum.
So Ravlin spends something that he found out in the wild, so ends up spending some of that resources, spending some resources for a character, which is going to be really handy. Gets out of that fight alive. We have Abda Jr. in the top right found Odin. That's not a great find, admittedly, early on. He is a powerhouse.
Oh, yeah. On the other hand, coming into that after finding Rydia, and getting a couple levels into her, that could be a huge difference, just because it doesn't take a lot of power to drain off Odin's hit points. Not if you've got lightning.
And yeah, however, without say a Lightning 1 item or anything, what ends up happening is Abda Jr. gets cut down pretty efficiently by the Odin, using his namesake ability, and just deals 1100 damage to everybody.
Yeah, so that is what does happen if you get blindsided by him. Because honestly, yeah.
Yeah, Thoughtful's a little bit dangerous today.
Yeah. And honestly, I like Kane a lot, but he's, if all he's got backing up is Cecil at the start, that's not a great start. Because they both start only at level 10. They don't have a ton of stuff they can do. So if it's not going to respond to a beatdown, there's not a lot that can be done there.
Right, and so we've got Vitasia still on the shop tour, looking over the shops in Toraya. Ravlin is checking out the weapon selection and grabbing a mute dagger for Rydia here in Fabul, so going to give her a little bit more offensive ability on both ends of it. So, good melee damage.
Yeah. I'm seeing some interesting things in Vitasia's inventory too. I'm seeing some crystal there, so we may be looking at seeing them keep Cecil around. Because if you can armor Cecil up, even after ordeals, a lot of people do worry about keeping him around, but he's fine.
Yeah, so we've got in Toraya, there's actually a ton of equipment. There's a Sorcerer's Shirt, a Dragoon Armor, a Charm Rod, a Lunar Staff. So caster weapons, which will give 10 to the required stat, depending upon if it's a rod, so the 10 to the Black Mage casting stat, and then the Lunar Staff is 10 to the White Mage casting stat. I never remember the names, and I apologize for that. And of course, the Sorcerer's Shirt being being the best shirt that you're going to find for magic defense for a caster outside of trap boxes, which is excellent.
Yeah, so we are actually coming out with some pretty good equipment, actually a little bit better than I was expecting, but I mostly play on T4, so if you take my adamant potential drops away from me, I cry like a little baby, so...
Yeah, I'm also used to playing on tougher seeds, so that's kind of how I've gotten to learn the game. So Ravlin now is rolled up to Odin, but has Rydia available. There's only one problem, is that at level 1, Rydia doesn't know Lightning. Rydia knows Chocobo.
That's not going to be enough to do it. Oh.
I mean, not knowing that Odin is there, but you can quickly grind up the couple of levels you need for a Lightning 1, and Odin takes quad damage from Lightning, which is just going to blast through his hit points pretty quickly.
Yeah, and of course, too, Odin does attack as well. He does hit pretty hard, and there it comes.
Alright, and that's another runner who has faced the wrath of Odin.
So let's see how that gets handled there.
Looks like it gets handled by running away. I'm on board with that play.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm gonna go do Antlion Cave instead with Abda. While Vitasia and Mechalink go and attempt to pick up Rydia, which Mecha burns that Gaia drum like we had mentioned. Vitasia's not burning an item here, and those Grey Bombs are going to hit Cecil really hard.
Oh yeah, that's not gonna go well. But I like the Antlion move. Rydia doesn't need a ton of levels for that Odin fight to be viable.
Yep.
And we've got Dark Elf.
Yeah, so we've got that two-phase fight there. He'll transform halfway down the line, which is going to be good, except he's going to start blasting the team with magic first. The magic damage in this spot is not great, but again, no Cure 2s, so they do have to do some work pretty quickly here to be able to survive this and then Dragon Breaths.
Yeah, because I'm seeing here too that they aren't levels, so we're not seeing many hit points.
Yeah. One of the tricks, though, for Mom Bomb, we're on No Free Lunch, but we're on No Free Lunch 1, which doesn't change any of the parameters of the bosses. So one of the things that you can do with Mom Bomb is after the explosion, if you have Hourglasses cast Stop on all enemies, and normally bosses aren't affected by that. But after the explosion, Mom Bomb's not a boss anymore, technically. It's 6 regular enemies.
I did not know that about Mom Bomb, so that's very interesting, and hopefully we see some interesting tools for dealing with that.
Right, so Abdo cleans up Antlion Cave, hits the exit, grabs the Baron Key, so moving right along.
And the Baron Key is, you know what, I kind of like seeing that early, because it is another character. The boss is going to be a little bit trickier, because it is scaled for, you know, that early mid-game, but it is something that's, if you're gonna do Baron, it's a long walk. You might as well get a character along with your key item.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Baron Underground may be a little bit out of reach for this party right now.
Yeah.
You know, I know that if you had found Sirens, you know, you're looking for underground access in hopes of maybe getting your hands on coffins to jumpstart your levels, because you're going to need them.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to be finding coffins in a shop. At least we might find them underground. I don't think they appear above ground on these flags.
You are correct, they do not. They show up underground, however, and that's a good thing for everybody. Opta Jr., though, taking advantage of that Baron Key to go check the Baron shop. When we mentioned balanced shops, so the upgraded shops are ones that are locked away behind key items, but this shop is also locked away behind the Baron Key.
So it is a bit better, and we do see that payoff. We are seeing tiaras in for sale, and that's a very good find. It is the best caster helmet in the game. It's better for black mages and white mages because it only gives you bonus stats, but the defense is not going to be beat.
No, and it gives you a chunk of magic defense too, which is really what we care about for Zeromus when all is said and done.
Yes.
All of the attacks that Zeromus does are magical in nature, so we want to make sure that we're stopping that magical damage from killing us.
Yes, and that's what that tiara is best at, so...
So Ravlin, flush with new toys and a few levels on Rydia, decides it's time to go ahead and take down the Odin Menace. Megalink is cleaned out. Antlion Cave and his cracked and exit is on his way back out, and here goes Odin again.
And this should be very different. There's also some Thor Rages in play that were in some of those chests. So this should go down much more smoothly than before.
Yep, spending resources to kill bosses is a very important part of this randomizer. You need to know when you want to go and spend items. Some blocking bosses can be killed by very good use of single spell items, and the fact that they don't exist in shops on S2 makes it a little bit more difficult.
Yes, absolutely. It does look like Rydia didn't gain any levels, but I don't think we're going to need them here, because that Gaia Drum was all that was needed to finish that off.
So two Thor Rages, one Gaia Drum, Odin goes down. Ravlin is going to get our first look at the Fobble Castle key item.
And we're hoping it is a key item. If not, we're going to know something's been displaced. Let's see what it is. And it...
Go ahead.
And that is the Earth Crystal, which is another one. That's another very interesting one. It does open up the ability to finish the Tower of Zot.
That does open up. Go ahead.
I think you were going to say the same thing I was. It does also give us the Troya Treasury.
I was actually going to say something completely different. So.
Oh, well, there we go. Why don't you go ahead then?
Right, we're going to step on each other's toes a little bit. We're new with working with each other, so thank you for your patience. Another Sork shirt, by the way, on the top of Mount Hobbs, which is great. But Earth Crystal opens up two things. One, of course, it opens up the Troya Treasury and the end of the end of Tower of Zot, but it also opens up two characters at the top of Tower of Zot, which on these flags can be very useful because characters are a little hard to come by.
Yes.
More importantly, though, is that given that with the characters one flag that Edge and Fusoya are restricted to key item locations, this is going to be a big opportunity to maybe get a power character out of this.
Yes, and we are going to be hoping a lot for Edge on these flags, not least because we are seeing some very, very serviceable weapons for him in the Baron shop, but we are also going to be able to duplicate items for him to throw. And if one of these key items is replaced with an Excalibur, say, Edge can carry you like nothing else.
Yeah, there's other things that Edge can throw, like Mute Daggers are a great thing to duplicate for the early game. They throw pretty well. You can even duplicate his short swords if you need something to get you through the opener a little bit more.
Yeah, so if somebody can get their hands on Edge, you know, that is going to be a solid party right there.
All right, Mechalink has taken out... Mechalink and Vitasia have both successfully taken out Odin. While Abda Jr. has decided it's time to get some levels. He climbs to the top of Mount Ordeals and cracks a siren.
This is something you don't actually see a ton of usually. But at the top of Mount Ordeals, if you have sirens, you can call up the double Lilith encounter, which gives you quite a bit of experience points for the point in time when you're going to be there.
Yep. As we're about to see, that's 5,500 experience points. Immediately makes Iridia relevant, gives Kane a few levels. Cecil went down because Cecil can't take a punch to save his life at this point, but that's okay.
Yeah, Dark Knight Cecil's levels don't matter anyway. They're all gonna go away once he decides to go ahead and do the bosses up here.
This is interesting. We have a Golbez sighting. The first boss, it looks like that was the first boss in Baron in for Ravlin. Major negative to that? Golbez is going to eat a character right now.
Yes, we're going to hope it's Cecil, because again, Cecil doesn't really matter. I don't mind actually seeing Golbez on the first encounter slot there. We've got Starveils, so we can reflect anything he's got, and the first boss there is made of paper. So if it's anything short of a Caneless Velvalis, it's not a problem. The only real cost here is the time to actually go through it. And as you can see, it's a long cutscene for a fight.
Yeah, the tougher part is A, you'll have a dead character, but more importantly, B, Cecil dying in this cutscene is not canon. I don't know why this is happening. This is not supposed to happen in the plotline.
What? You mean this rando isn't canon?
And then Iridia dies. What is this? What am I watching?
Oh my god! Next you're gonna tell me they don't... Oh, it's a wipe.
Ooh, yeah, Golbez, if you don't get the Starveil up, I don't know if Ravlin Bay found them in Agart. But if you don't have it up and running immediately, that's what happens. Golbez is gonna kill you with a volley of lightning and fire and viruses until you die.
Oh, and we are about to see the Starveils, looks like, so... Hopefully that gets taken care of right away.
Yeah, so we've got Kalanan commenting in chat, wow, that Baron guard slot has a ton of magic attack. It actually does from the main game. It has high magic stats because to let you get hit by the status effects from the guards. So that's why it has a high output. Abda Jr. found that Bahamut was awaiting on top of Mount Ordeals. I know Abda has Star Veils, but has not started using them. I guess is expecting to just burn Bahamut down before it's too late.
I have found too with this slot for Bahamut, it goes slow enough that if you use those Star Veils right away, they will be down by the time he actually pops. And as we can see here, they weren't even needed.
That is a good point. And it looks like I know Mechalink cleaned out the chests in Troya, but I know I missed them because I was busy watching Opta take on boss fights. Found the Sisters 3, the Mega Sisters, in slot number 2.
That's interesting.
That's also very dangerous.
Yes. You see, if I say interesting, that means I haven't run into this boss here before, and this is not fun. And wow.
Yeah, this is normally where you face down Mill Z in vanilla, and this is another spot where the magic damage output is pretty solid. So I'm just going to take a wipe here because that hurt.
Yeah, that's going to need some specific prep, I think, and Obd is working on that right now.
Yeah, gonna go get some more levels.
That certainly is a fine spot to be faced with a boss that's hard but beatable when you've got a big stack of Sirens on hand. And Mechalink is up against Golbez now.
That is double heroin shirts and a Zeus gauntlet in the Troyan armory. Zeus gauntlet in particular is an item that runners love because it lets you go fast.
Yeah, I know I like to put that on Kane.
You know, and when I say go fast, I don't mean actually speed up your characters. I mean plus 15 strength turns you from a standard hitter into a truck.
Yes, and I mean, there's no other option in this party but Kane, but, you know, I always like to put that on him, above a lot of the other options, but I like Kane.
So, Mechalink is executing a specific strategy for Golbez right now. Mechalink has decided that Kane is going to be the least useful character for this fight. So, takes a moment, grabs an encounter, and kills Kane. Now, this is important because Golbez does not eat a party member or two party members. He'll just knock your party down to 2 characters. If there are only 2 characters alive, then Golbez just doesn't do anything. Well, until he starts killing you.
Yes, and Rydia actually doesn't get held by that, which will give time to... Oh, is he going to use a Star Veil, or is he going to use a life? I saw him hovering over a life there.
I think as you and I both know from here in the booth, the right call is to Star Veil here.
Yeah, I hope he doesn't try and raise Kane, because that would... Ooh! Might be hoping to get Kane in the air, but no, looks like Rydia's going to get to go again really quick. Hopefully she beats the spells going off.
Yeah, the Emerald Bard comments that she might be wearing armor that repels both Paralyze and Death. She does have the Heroin Room.
Oh, that's true, yes.
So, but instead goes with Plan B, which is deal damage.
And that works fine too, because, like I said, that boss is made of paper.
Alright, so this time Opta Jr. steps up to the plate, found a Zeus Rage out in the world for Odin, and just blasts him with the Lightning 2 effect, dealing 3,000 damage and ending the fight immediately.
That'll do it too. We're seeing Valvalis behind Golbez, which, this is actually a much better setup than the reverse would be. Doesn't matter too much since we've got Kane, but Valvalis is actually much easier here than she is on the first slot.
Yeah, she still hits pretty hard when she comes out of tornado form, but, you know, Rydia is using the Artemis arrows up to good effect here, dealing good damage, and Kane is doing good damage as well, so this is going pretty quickly. Both Ravel and Invitasia have decided to go with Star Veil straps for Bahamut, so they're pretty sure that will get them through this fight. Again, they're both probably going to get a very rude backing up by the Mega Sisters in a moment.
And we've got Yang the Rat Tail with Mechalink here. And yes, let's see how those star bills are coming along. We've got Vitasia putting up extras just to make sure, which is a good idea because again, I have seen them. In this slot, I have seen them fade, but they didn't this time. We're all good.
Yep. So Vitasia stands still and stares Bahamut down. It looks like Ravlin Bay is likely to do the same if that last sword swing doesn't do the job. Vitasia wisely takes a safety save here. Wait, did he not bail up on his characters? I thought
they might have dropped. I think I saw him doing that too, but we'll see what happens now. Going right back in there.
All right, and so Opta Jr. has decided to change tack and is now in Cave Magnus. So coming down here and looking for the key item here in fighting the Dark Elf spot. Must feel he has enough physical damage output to deal with this spot.
And that also means that everybody here is coming up for a very special treat that we've got in this randomizer. Which is that, in addition to all of the other things that you're seeing randomized in this game, the music that Edward plays is also randomized. So we will get to hear a very pretty song from somewhere. We don't know where it is yet.
Right, so Vitasia ran into the Sisters Rude and got taken out. I'm not sure if they still... I know a couple of the runners had Grimoires in their inventory, which is an item you can use for a random summon. That random summon could be Chocobo. That random summon could be Bahamut.
And it's usually always worth giving that a try.
I mean, again, spending resources to save lives is very important here, and this spot is fast, and magic damage is high, and magic defense on these three characters, well, at least two of the characters, is pretty low.
And Mechalink is coming up through Baron, right as Edward starts playing.
Alright, and Mechalink is going to find French Vanilla Kainazo, so normally on the throne, but this time deciding to guard the throne.
Yes, and so we'll see how that goes for bringing him down. And the Dark Elf has been replaced with the King and Queen of Emblem. Which, because we are on No Free Lunch 1 and 2, you know, you can beat them down like Obda's doing, or you can just sit back and wait, and they will take care of themselves. They are not a threat at all, as you can see.
So, good news is that Mechalink has two of the sisters down. The bad news is that neither of them are Cindy, who can res the other two, just like this.
Ouch.
He is going to decide to use up a Zeus Rage while Mechalink blasts through with items and fists and takes out Kainazo. The Lit 2 takes out the Center Sister, so Cindy's now dead, which means that this is probably recoverable until that Ice 2 went off, and I apologize.
See, if you hadn't said anything...
I know.
But, that does mean that, this is a very winnable fight at this point, and yes, Invitation is just going right back in for it.
Yeah, it's gonna use up a lot of resources and time. It's a tough call. Obda Jr. did get the King and Queen, which was great, and is rewarded with the Legend Sword.
Goody.
The good news, it's a key item.
Yay! Yes, the Legend Sword, of course, You know, one of the only 2 key items so bad, we had to give him its own special mode to make it relevant at all. Because, unfortunately, we are not playing on that mode. So, it's gonna sit there, clogging an inventory slot, unless we can somehow get the adamant, in which case, somebody might cash it in if they get edge. Or, we do have Cecil in play. The Excalibur is actually a really good weapon.
Right, so we found out that the king is actually 4 kings. Well, 3 kings and a queen. As the elements show up on the throne.
That's one crowded spot. So, I'm guessing Kainazo didn't die back there, he just ran and bolted back into the throne room to let the other guys know.
I guess Kainazo did want to be on the throne.
But, let's see how that fight's going. This is always interesting because in a lot of slots, the elements are actually really easy, and it is this time. Because that jump just kind of swatted the Rubicant down there.
Yeah, it was with the Ice Brand, which is normally how you kill Rubicant in vanilla really quickly. And Invitasia did get through the Mega Sisters, which was great, so we're going to find out what's on top of Mount Ordeals for us. Invitasia will be the first person to promote Cecil to Paladin. On the other hand, Mechalink is going to get a character from Baron. It's Sid, so physical brawlers abound on this seed. We've seen Cecil, Kain, Yang, and Sid.
Oh, and it's the Magma Key on Mount Ordeal. So, that Mega Sisters, in addition to being a really hard fight, is a serious actual roadblock.
Yeah, it looks like we are definitely going to need to get through Ordeals to keep advancing this race along.
We haven't seen a hook, and you never want to take a hook seed anyway. But Plague on there, that's a fine slot for Plague, because this is another one of those slots where it's got 1,000 hit points, it's not going to take long to deal with.
So with the elements slain, Mechalink is rewarded with a Pan, a very useful item, but which is going to give access to double key items on this flex set, potentially.
Unfortunately, it's not doing much of anything for anybody right now. But if Mechalink can get through Ordeals, that will change basically immediately.
Yeah, Mechalink has decided on Ordeals instead of going into Cave Magnus, which I feel is a pretty good call because you've got Cecil in the party and need to get him going. Opta Jr. has opted for the Tower of Zot at this point in time, so out here looking for characters. There's also a key item at the top, and Rosa will learn Exit after this if you have Rosa, or, well, get Rosa later, as in the regular plot as well.
Yeah, and I actually kind of like that play. I like doing Zot if you don't get that key item really late, which I do far too often. Zot's something that it usually pays off, that I find. With getting 2 characters, and they are guaranteed to be 2 different characters, you're much more likely to get something good. I'm not sure about going into these fights with 3 characters, but we'll see how it goes.
I mean, we've got some levels. We're at level 21 on everybody, so we're at least okay on that front. So we've got Ravlin who threw up some Star Veils before the paralysis, and I've known that the Star Veils can go down during this cutscene because it takes like a while. Opta Jr. makes a mistake here. First boss is the Lunar Dragons at the top, and decides to attack the first one. So I guess he is in all-out physical mode before the viruses start streaming in.
Ouch. Yes, that is something you've got to be really careful. I don't like to touch those things without something that is specifically aimed at killing dragons.
Or the undead.
That's true. Or the undead. Because astonishingly, they are skeletons, they are undead.
Yeah. The nominal strategy for fighting early lunar dragons, by the by, is to throw Cure 2 potions at them. They do about 400 damage apiece, and so we'll get you through just fine for the most part. Ravelin is able to recover. His Star Veils did go down like expected, but does get a wall up on Rydia. There's only one issue, is that going into the second fight, may only have one character.
And there is another oddity, too. I've only really noticed it with this slot, but, you know, the walls themselves, the reflected spells, won't kill Golbez here. He's actually going to have to hit him in order for... Yeah. As you can see here, Golbez is taking way more punishment than this slot has hit points. I don't know if this happens anywhere else, but as you can see, it's not going to work, and I hope that Ravelin realizes that he's going to have to make a move.
I really feel like this is the kind of thing that we should report to the dev team.
Yes, this does seem like a good idea.
You know, with any program, you know, these things do happen, and so I don't think this was intended behavior for sure.
Yes, probably not.
Swimmy is letting us know it's because Golbez's suicide script is a counterattack. It's not a bug.
Oh. So it is intentional, it's just weird.
Might be something to bring up to the devs way just to see if it's something that can get fixed up, but
yeah,
that's really interesting.
Yeah, like I probably really only noticed it in this slot because it's the only one where you know that he's going to be reflecting back more hit points than he has. So that might be why I've really only seen it here.
Yeah.
And there we go. Ravelin realized what was going on. And there we go. Everyone is up for the next fight. Hit points are a little low, but that's fixable.
Yep, so Volvalis is on deck for Vatasia and for Ravelin as they high-five on Volvalis. Vatasia with a little bit more progress was able to push through the Mega Sisters. Mechalink was also able to push through the Mega Sisters, going to receive the Magna Key as well.
And I'm sure he'll be very happy to see Plague there, who is, again, it's a good slot for him, and there are many bad slots for a Plague, so it takes a potentially hard boss out of harm's way.
And we can certainly talk about what makes that a difficult fight, but if you really want to get some insight on what makes some fights hard and what we do every day, please feel free to join our Discord. We're always glad to have new people, growing community. We want to see you there.
Yes, absolutely. You know, we are chock full of people who will be more than happy to talk all day long about whatever fiddly bit you are possibly interested in.
Alright, so Mechalink now packing up a full party, packing up a powered-up Steezel, packing a Pan, packing a Magma Key. I think we're going to get to see our first trip underground in a minute.
Yes, because I know that if I were Mechalink, I would be beelining under there and taking a visit to have Yang, and just ask ourselves, stop hitting yourself, Yang.
So there's one other interesting note about the counterattacks as Mechalink decides to pick up a couple levels before going underground by killing some Liliths, is that the counterattack script for a lot of enemies, say Antlion or Lunar Dragons, so when they counterattack, they counterattack on, it's not physical damage. They counterattack on the fight command. So
Yes.
A different strategy for this fight, if things are not going well, is to do nothing. And then let Kane jump every turn. There's there's problems with that, but it's an option.
Yes, jump will absolutely get you going. And I see that the other thing you can do too, is if you're feeling really saucy, you can start the virus trigger, then get Kane in the air, and hope that those walls drop. Because they don't usually last very long, and they will still virus themselves. But that wasn't necessary here.
So Object Jr. is going to go back, crack the cabin, save the game, going to take that kill very happily.
Yes, good idea there.
Right, so Vitasia decided to hop underground. Mechalink has decided to hop underground. Vitasia and Mechalink both still having the Twin Harp on the table, which we know leads to the Legend Sword. And Vitasia also having Baron underground on tap as well, potentially.
Yes, and there we both go.
Yes,
So,
so high five cutscene. Good job for the two on the left. They're pushing out to the next locations.
oh, and we've got Palom in Zot.
And we've got Porum in the Tower of Zot.
Oh, that's a fantastic find right there. Maybe not great going right into a boss fight, but those are some very, very solid characters, and I would be very happy to see them.
I mean, it gives you access to twin magic for this fight, which is not going to be the worst thing out there. It does give you access to Porum's white magic, though she doesn't start with an awful lot, but going to put the heroine and the bow on her. Heroine armor is armor for women that is the best physical defense armor for them. It reduces your magic casting stats, but it gives you agility and strength, and it lets you fire a bow like no one's business.
Yes, absolutely. I've certainly taken down Zerobus with, Wine Mom Rosa.
Yep, and Mechalink, of course, I think, to no one's surprise, decides to drop off the pan, and so we're going to see what the Sylphs have to give us.
And it's the Water Hag in Zot.
Alright, and that's the Spoon Dagger from the Sylphs. So normally in the vanilla game, when you hit Yang with the pan, the Sylphs give you the Sylph Summon, which is my favorite summon in the game for sure.
Yeah, I mean, hard to complain about that. It's not the most damaging summon, but it does heal you. It does apparently lower magic defense, though that's not super practical. We've got Cure 3s in Tomra as well, which is a very nice find.
That is an excellent find, in fact. That is one of those items that's really handy. So Abda Jr., of course, probably the happiest runner right now, having found a free boss at the top of the Tower of Zot. So he's going to get away with the twins, which is awesome. Going to get a bunch of levels on the twins.
Yes, enough levels that I see there to have given Palom Virus right out of the gate. And that is absolutely fantastic. Virus is one of the best spells you can get your hands on, and Palom not only earns it very early, he learns it about 2 levels before he gets Quake. So that's a very happy find there.
Right, so also in the back of Tomra, we found a Stardust item. Not the Stardust Rod, sadly, but an item which allows you to cast Stardust. And Abda Jr. is probably the even happier runner right now, as he has currently assembled 50% of what he needs to finish the game. From the tower, we have the pass.
That's excellent right there. And it is, of course, the better 50% to get out of that, because, with the pass, you don't have to walk. If you're using the Darkness Crystal to get to Zeromus, that's all. You've got to walk all the way through them. Very lengthy last dungeon of the game.
Yeah, takes a couple of minutes, certainly, and the save point's a little further away than being able to save right outside of Torea. The pass has been repurposed. Normally it leads you to a room with dancers in it in the original game, but here it leads us to the moon, the beautiful moon, and the beautiful boss therein.
Yes, so what's interesting here is that we know that one key item somewhere has been displaced because we got it from the Sylphs, but by and large, all of the normal key item spots have turned up key items, which is honestly not all that usual for K2. It's pretty common to see them all over the place.
Yep. So Sheila doles out the package as her first item for Seeing Yang, and the Crystal Sword is the second one.
Oh.
I mean, I don't know if that's a trolley crystal sword or not, because I think you want to see the crystal there, but well, Cecil now is in go mode.
Yes, you know what? I think it's hard to complain about that. The Crystal Sword is one of those things that can turn Cecil from a character who you don't want to see, you might be okay with seeing, to being a character that you actually want to have. Because it does a ton of damage, and it does a ton of damage without even trying. It's huge.
Alright, so on Valvalis, Opta Jr. is going to start getting characters back up and jump for immense amounts of damage with their nice blue sphere. I didn't see what the key item in, I don't think it was a key item, but I did not see the item in Land of Summon Monsters box.
Oh, and I think that I missed that too. I'm not seeing anything pop up on the tracker.
Okay, so maybe it was just a baseline item, which is fine, and we find that the throne room in Losum is full of scary things. One boss is CPU. Not the worst boss to find, certainly, and the other one is a random lunar boss that we know is not Plague and is not the Lunar Dragon.
So, at that point, you know, whatever it is, you don't want to see it. CPU might be more doable,
yeah.
But it's going to be fast. That's a very fast slot. It will be taking off 10% of your health very quickly. It will be healing the main body of that boss very quickly.
And it is incredibly healthy to boot.
Yeah.
On the flip side of the coin, the lunar bosses we still have in play are Pale Dim, who is probably the least scary, and the reason we didn't see the item is because nobody grabbed it yet, but it is the hook.
Oh. And honestly, that definitely does mean that everybody does need to go through ordeals, because the hook is underground.
Yeah.
Everybody does have the rat tail, though, so we do actually want to see that. Want to use that hook, probably.
Yeah, that's going to be a good find with the rat tail, certainly. So it looks like Ravelin has finished with ordeals, is gearing up Cecil right now, and is going to hike back down. So Ravelin is, getting there right now. Batasia is leaving Land of Summon Monsters with some ill-gotten gains and that hook. So we'll see. Very interesting to see where he'll go next. And Mechalink is going to be rewarded very soon with a sword that is definitely, absolutely not the Crystal Sword.
Yes. And going back up, so we might be going to go check that rat tail right away. And looks like we are, yes.
Alright, Opta Jr. on the hunt for characters in Baron Castle again. So, gonna take a crack there. Batasia is gonna go ahead and try and use that rat tail, which is probably wise. She's gonna go and do something that the runners have skipped at this point, because you normally get a character here, and so you come here for the character. But since you don't get a character, all this does is, it's a cutscene. And you don't want to see cutscenes. Cutscenes aren't how you go fast.
Yeah, I mean, it does take some time. I know there are a lot of runners who will pop it anyway. On general assumption, you're probably gonna use it, but I know you don't like to pop it, and that's probably correct.
Nope, I don't like doing anything that uses up time that I could otherwise be using to die to bosses horrifically.
It's almost like you're trying to go fast or something.
Alright, Mechalink is killing off the Queen pretty quickly here. So gonna push through there. Gonna get the Legend Sword for the efforts. Opta Jr. with that full party is having no issue pushing through it. Oh!
It's the crystal.
Alright, so we have a no Moon seed. This is gonna be a fairly fast seed, all things considered. Moon is completely unnecessary. So we had the pass located in the Tower of Zot, and the crystal is located here with the rat tail in Adamant Grotto. Excellent. So we have sirens, we have underground access. Batasia is probably going to go and make a dip for the party member down here as well. Going to see who is the character there in Evelyn Underground in a moment. Well, in a bit of a walk.
Yes, and there's a few options here. We do have one duplicate character when no free lunch is in play. We hope we don't see that, but it does mean that it could be one of the other characters that we haven't seen. It could be Fusoya, it could be Edge, it could be Edward.
Yep. So Opta Jr. takes out the elements, finishing up the Baron Inn. We've got Ravlin Bay, who is fighting the inside of Baron, the end of Baron Castle, I apologize. And we've got Ravlin on the first boss of Baron Castle, taking out Kainazo slowly. Mecha Link did not stop to get the item out of Land of Summon Monsters when he was down below. Also didn't start to grind for levels or find coffins down below. So Mecha Link could be doing a little bit better at this point in time, but routed a little bit differently than I think a lot of people would expect.
Yeah, with the Crystal Sword on Cecil, I don't think coffins are really necessary, and he's going to Zot.
Alright, so he's going to find his white mage, probably going to find his preferred black mage, and going to find half of the puzzle here at this point.
And you know what? If he knew what we knew up here right now, I'm sure he'd be kicking himself, realizing that he could have just swept by that Land of Summon Monsters, picked up that hook, and then... But we'll see how that plays out. So it's still anyone's game. Oh, ho, ho!
Speaking of white mages, there's the better white mage.
Yes.
So Max plus Pi asks what's the pros and cons of different melee characters. For example, why did Obda drop Yang for Sid? So each melee character kind of has their own pluses and minuses, certainly. We mentioned Cecil, who can get some really powerful weapons, but has some concerns for the end game in regards to how the last fight works. What about Kayn? What do we like about Kayn?
I like Kayn a lot, probably more than most. He's got a pretty good balanced stat line. He's got some fairly solid equips. He can use most of the heavy armor of the game. Actually, all the heavy armor of the game. He can use a pretty good diversity of axes, spears, and swords. I think he does suffer a little bit on T3 because he's really looking for some specifically very high-end weapons. He's looking for an Avenger, he's looking for a Dragoon Spear, he's looking for a White Spear. If he's got less than that, he can also take a Root Axe or a Defense Sword. If he's got less than that, he's not great. But he's versatile, he's got Jump, which will take him out of harm's way, which might not necessarily be what you want out of a tanky character.
Yeah. So we've got Natara and Merkarsis also hopping in chat, so thank you to both of you, right? Sid can wear armor. Also, we know that they already have a rune axe, so Sid's best weapon can be found in chests in T3. So there's a little bit less of a gear limitation for him. The armor also makes him pretty defensive, and you can usually get Sid to 14 agility pretty easily. 14 agility being one of the magic spots for Zeromus, which is something that's going to be worth describing later. Yang is gear agnostic. Like, Yang is a terrible character in the early game because he just does not hit very hard. His scaling is very low. Even with strength items, it takes him a while to kind of get off the ground. Yang does get a ton of hit points, though, and, you know, if you don't find a single piece of gear for him, you're still in good shape. He can still punch things pretty darn hard.
Yeah, I mean, Yang will basically work with any party. You've got things you hope to see for him, but he doesn't need them. Sid, in particular, is a character, I find him kind of not a character that you would want to use with Cecil in the party, and as we can see, Obda Jr. did pull him, did remove Cecil. The reason, again, is the agility, because Sid is very slow. We'll talk more about that later. And a slow character is very good if Cecil's not in the party.
Right.
And they've got similar jobs, and if I've got Cecil, I don't feel a need to have a really slow character.
Right, so Vitasia gonna dip into Evelyn Castle, not someplace that we see every day, but gonna be looking for items. Obda Jr., of course, with the Twin Palom, decides that it's time to start quaking the world. Rips through the Mega Sisters like paper. One quake takes all three down in one shot.
And you know what? There's very few problems that you can't answer with a quake, as we have seen and are going to see.
Absolutely. Alright, so Obda Jr., of course, now having quaked the sisters, will probably now quake another boss, excepting I think this is Plague's immune to quake. Will virus a boss, probably.
Yes, and give him a taste of his own medicine, really.
Yep, Megalink took Porum and not Palom, leaving Palom behind and instead keeping Rydia.
That's not what I would do, but, it's not a bad choice. Palom is better. I hate to say it, because I love Rydia. Everybody loves Rydia, but everybody knows Rydia is just, mechanically, she's not what she needs to be. But
yeah.
But if you've got her leveled up, you've got her established, it's a reasonable call. Right. But he's got the pass, we're all good.
Yeah. So there is one bad outcome potentially for Mecha Link at this point.
Yes, if he forgets that he hasn't hit the Land of Summoned Monsters chest, right. Or if he's just deciding that to put it off, right. We could be in trouble.
Right. The bad ending here for everybody involved is that we still need to have moon access, and we're starting to run out of key item spots. So with Warp, with the glitches, you can kill the boss in Dwarf Castle and get the item there from the look at key spot. And then you can warp to the back of Sealed Cave and get a key item from there. Now, other than the two bosses in Underground and in Losum and Odin in Barren Castle, this does cause us to have a chance that they would find the Darkness Crystal, which would give them access to the moon, which we know does not have the crystal.
I think what we're actually looking at here, just kind of looking at where our runners have been and looking at our key items, my best guess is at the Dwarf Castle and the Sealed Cave, we're looking at a combo of a Tower Key and the Darkness Crystal. Both of those are lengthy red herrings.
Also, mentioning the Tower Key in my presence makes me break out in a cold sweat, so...
You're not the only one, but it has to be said. I'm pretty sure it's in there, and I hope nobody takes that bait, because whatever they find, it's not going to be good.
Cold sweat. Max Plus Pi asked, was that 2 heroin armors in adjacent chests for Vatasia? Yes, I think there have been 4 in the seed so far. So if shops weren't free, well, that normally would be like 200,000 gold to go spend.
I think slightly less on the new patch. The heroin armors, I think, were made a little bit cheaper.
That's fair. Mecha Link is currently taking on baseline Mylan at the Odin spot, so this is going to take a while from health purposes. But he does have that Crystal Sword. He does have Kane. He's going to do some damage here.
Yeah, this is a long fight, but it's not going to be a very hard one. So he'll be at that for a while. We've got Vatasia going into Zot now.
All right. Well, that's gonna make Vatasia incredibly happy once he reaches the top then and finishes it up, because he doesn't nearly need a white mage. Technically, doesn't need a black mage either. He's got a party that you can take up the end game with really easily. It's a pretty standard party: white mage, black mage, 3 brawlers. Let's berserk our troops and go to town.
Yeah, I would take that party. And with that, that pass in hand, I would start leveling and I would get ready to take this thing home.
Yeah. Mecha Link learned something very important about Cecil, is that crystal armor makes you immune to berserk. So you can't cast Zerk on him when he's got the crystal armor on.
A little thing that, it's easy to forget, because, the stats on that armor, they're very tempting, but Cecil's best when he's berserked, and that just sinks a perfectly good set of armor otherwise.
Yep. So Obja Jr. has found the hook in Land of Summoned Monsters at this point in time, so going back above would put Obja Jr. in go mode as well.
Yes, so we'll see what he does with that hook.
Right, Ravlin, not feeling confident with the team, decides to take a save outside of Mist. Good to save here in case you don't want to do the cutscene. And find out what character we have behind the package, and that looks like Tella. I think that's a move to reset.
Yes, yeah. And it is.
Yeah, see that mouse cursor moving around. I think we're good here.
So not somebody you want to see. Not at this point. With glitches on, if we were looking at needing to grind on the moon, we might have seen somebody take Tella, but not behind a package, not this deep into the game, and not with what we know about how things are playing out.
Yep, not with having sirens in tow already.
Yes.
All right, Batasia's found some dragons. So going to start setting up to throw potions at them. It looks like, or other items. We've got Mecha Link, who's worked his way through all four of the zombies now. But this is again, the Odin spot's a later game boss, and it's got some health. Obda Jr. has opted into fighting the Lunar boss and finds Pale Dim, which is probably the best find here.
Oh yeah.
Excepting there's one problem.
Ooh. He hits like a truck.
And that spot has speed that is comparable to Zeromus. It is the top possible agility spot in the game. Both of those slots are incredibly dangerous, and I hate fighting both of those bosses unless they're basically free. Lunar bosses are the exact opposite of free.
Yes. You know what? Most of the time, I'm perfectly happy to run into Pale Dim. He counters physical attacks, but just with slow. That doesn't hurt. It just makes things take a little while longer, and even doesn't after a certain point. And Mylon is down.
All right. Yeah, that spot, though, is just frightening.
Yeah, I've beaten my head against that wall way too many times. It's the pink tail!
Oh, that turns into an adamant armor once Mecha Link goes and gets the hook, which is going to be fantastic. Opta Jr. is using his pan, but he was the player who gave up Cecil, correct?
Yes.
So he's going to get a crystal sword that he is going to look at probably longingly. I know
but that's the wrong crystal.
Right, so we've been getting a couple of questions about where items are located, so we're at 1 hour in. So just as a quick recap for everybody, to start the run, we started off with the Twin Heart. Antlion had the key to Baron Castle. Fobble was the Earth Crystal. Baron Inn boss was Golbez and Bobalis, which is gross and I hate it, but gave us the tail. Tail being our route to the crystal at Adamant Grotto, but we needed the hook from Baymarch from Land of Summoned Monsters to get there. Cave Magnus was full of nothing. We had the Legend Sword. Mount Ordeals was our only path to the Underground, which was the Magna Key. Baron Castle, back of Baron Castle, had the Pan. When you hit Yang with the Pan, the Sylphs gave you the Spoon. Tower of Zot, top of Zot, had the Pass. And Sheila had 2 items. One was the Package, and the other was the Crystal Sword. At this point, we have seen only one K1 slot give us a non-key item. This has been a very favorable K2 seed at this point in time. And it's also going to be a non-moon K2 seed. Mecha Link finds Ether 2s in the Dwarf Shop, which is fantastic.
Yeah, that is a great find, but I hate to see him chasing Dwarf now when we know your road to go mode. Please, turn around.
We know how close he is, and yet how far he truly is at this point, which is tough. Opta Jr. is about to hit go mode. Gonna go and take that hook. Gonna go summon the Landmaster, and go ahead and get the crystal. Part of why I was able to give such a good recap was great tracking from Casual Geek Dave. So thank you, sir. Tracking has been on point. I'm very impressed so far. Also, a notebook. All aspiring commentators, please bring a notebook. You want to write things down. You want to be able to talk about them. You want to be able to give a recap an hour and a half into a race. Notebook.
And it's Ogopogo in Dwarf. That's not bad. Certainly better than the one missing looter boss that we don't know where it is. We hope we don't run into it. The only lunar boss we haven't seen at this point is Wyvern, who is going to be extra dangerous today because he is going to have its vanilla behavior, which means that fight is going to start with a Mega Flare.
All right. Ravelin's gonna take the twins, gonna drop Sid off, and leave behind Rydia for the higher powered Palom, which is a good call. Right, Mechalink is working through Ogopogo, who starts off with Big Wave, which deals 25% of your damage, but he does it twice, which is 50% of your health to start. Right, Scala noting that there are crit depths too. I think we all have our own methods of keeping track of what is going on in a race, certainly. I mean, I use a notebook for Final Fantasy I commentary as well, just because items and towns and things, and there's a lot of items in this game. If I wanted to keep up better on items, I would do a better job of taking notes.
Oh, you're doing fine.
This has been pretty solid so far, I'd have to say. You're doing great.
Well, there we go then.
Right, but back to the race. Mechalink has found some doors.
Oh no.
Those look like doors.
Oh, and a bard.
Mechalink showing off some menuing skill there and dumps Edward as fast as I've seen in these races.
That's possibly the most impressive thing I've ever seen. I didn't even see that screen come up. So we are fighting Evil Wall, which shouldn't be too much of a problem here. This slut doesn't have a ton of hit points. They'll kick the wall a few times, hit it with swords, and it'll crumble, as it does now. Meanwhile, Obda Jr. is busy doing his grind, which...
Yep. Sirens are eggs. Eggs are normally 34,000 experience apiece, but we have 10 key items working right now because of how this seed is played out. So with one of the flags, the experience 2 flag, so there's two things that does. First is that all experiences, instead of being split, is given to each party member individually. But at 10 key items, that number doubles. So right now we are seeing levels. 3 and 4 at a time to start. As Obda Jr. gets ready and set to take on Zeromus by getting the party up to an adequate level.
Meanwhile, Vitasia gets the pass.
Alright, and Vitasia moves into go mode at this point in time. A little bit lighter on the key items, ended up taking a tighter route that ended up working out, but only sitting at, looks like, 8 key items at this point in time, so the grind would be a lot slower.
We'll see, because 8 key items is kind of a point where, you know, you may think about it, you may decide to go get 2 more. That was a defense sword in the sealed cave spot. What was the other?
I did not catch that, I apologize.
It was the tower key, it looks like. Oh, no.
Wait, that couldn't have been the tower key, there's no way.
Oh no, not a single dip on tower. Please, remember the land of summon monsters. Oh no.
Well, the tower of Babel
key.
It was the tower key. Oh my.
Oh no.
The accursed tower key. The curse of the tower key has struck another one of my commentaries. Neon, how do you feel about the tower key? Not even knowing what you know right now.
Oh, the tower key is not good. I think that's the best that can be said for it. I've never... it's a monkey's paw of a key item, is what it is. You want a key item. You want it to be a key item that will either give you another key item, or that will, you know, be helpful.
Mechalink's skipping the safety save as well on the way to the top.
Ouch.
Right, Ravlin hitting 10 key items and happy with his party, still doesn't have the crystal, so decides it's time to start grinding anyways, which is, I think, a very sensible call. Give yourself the power to have to take apart some bosses.
Yes, absolutely.
We have Vanilla Luge at the top of the tower.
That's okay.
Ravlin does have the crystal. Maggie the cat is updating. Well, it's not marked. Apologies. I would still have ground anyway with 10 items and no crystal, as a note, just because it's a good strategy thing.
Yeah, with a solidified party, there's no reason not to at that point.
All right, and at this point in time, I'm just checking out the chat. We have our first finisher already. Our invitational champion and all-around solid runner, Invenerable, has finished in first place with an SRL time of 1 hour, 9 minutes, and 16 seconds. GG Invenerable.
Yes, GG to you. A solid time, and hopefully our featured racers will be hot on his heels, because we are coming up on getting ready to go into that fight.
Yeah, we are definitely seeing some go mode here, so...
And Mechalink finishes off with the first half of the Dr. Luge fight, going into the second. Tower Key.
Tower Key. Invenerable is going to know what happens when we mention the Tower Key, because he's going to have the exact same reaction.
Yes, the problem with the Tower of Babel, which I will tell you all while we wait, is that, as you can see here, the Tower of Babel is a fairly lengthy dungeon. It does have the potential for 2 key items. One is free. This is the one that Mechalink is just fighting for right now. And then there's the one midway up, which will also give you another key item if you have the Tower Key. Nobody likes to get it. You can't warp out of this dungeon. You can't exit. You have to walk the whole way, up and down. And certainly this boss has a fair few number of hit points. Not a ton, but it's a roadblock. And
it sounds like we're being joined now by Invenerable. GG Invenerable, great race.
Hey, thank y'all. I came in, I felt so lost through most of the race. I'm like, I don't know if this is a good idea. Just thinking about the 2 things that stood out most to me on that was that I ended up, I think, triple dipping Troya. I went there early for the loot and the 2 item shops. And I went there again when I got the Earth Crystal for more loot. And then finally I didn't do Tower of Zot proper until the 3rd time through. But the other thing that, there was one fight that as soon as I did it and completed it, I thought, that's going to give people a bunch of trouble. How have people been handling Magus Sisters at Mylon Z?
Ooh, that was a hard one.
They've mostly been doing it by grinding up with the sirens that they found to get some levels, and then just throwing every item that they've found at it. Oh my.
Oh no.
If Mechalink does not kill this in one shot, well, Mega Nuke's gonna miss because this bot has no stats, thankfully. But we found Wyvern.
Oh, where's Wyvern?
Tower Key.
Tower Key.
Oh, nice. I actually early on, as soon as I got the Magma Key from Ordeals, I did my underground loop just to check the item shops and see what key items I could get, what bosses were there, and I saw CPU and a Lunar Sparkle at Asura and Leviathan, and I thought, I could probably deal with CPU. It's just annoying, but if that's Wyvern in the Leviathan spot, that would have been very exciting. But I'm guessing it's not. Obviously.
No, it's the equally exciting Pale Dim, who hits for about 2,600 a shot and goes very, very fast.
Awesome. Yeah, just started swatting people left and right. It was pretty bad. So
sorry, I'm sating my curiosity through the 2 of you. I hope you don't mind. Did anyone go to Cave Eblin? And if so, were there what were the items for sale? I never found silk webs and I never found illusions.
We did not get an item shop check there, interestingly enough. The character behind it though was Rosa.
Oh, Rosa Bay. Go figure.
Yes. I don't think we're seeing either of those items in shops. I don't think that does come up on T2 or S2.
Gotcha. I think illusions do, but you may be right that silk webs have been booted to the curb.
I think they may be underground, or at least they might be 2nd tier locked. Because I usually don't see them, but I know I saw them in a practice recently.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, I am going to go refresh my beverage and watch the featured streamers wrap up. Thank you all for having me. I'm sure you two are doing an amazing job, and I'll see y'all in chat later.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Take care, y'all.
Yes.
All right, Mechalink has decided it's time to rectify some mistakes, does not fall for the darkness crystal trap that has been handed to him by the tiny dwarves in the airship, is instead going to go get the hook. So
thank you.
So Mechalink losing some time to Wild Goose Chase as Randomizer do, but will be very happily rewarded by turning in that rat tail and getting into go mode as well. So this race has been going pretty smoothly at this point in time.
Yes.
Again, we are seeing 3 racers in go mode right now. It looks like Obda Jr. is going to come to the end of the grind pretty soon, as is Ravlin. They're both sitting around looking at their caster hit points. Forum's at about 1,800, Hallam's at about 1,900. All depends on how confident you feel in nerfing your big bangs at the end. And
Ravlin looks like he feels very confident, because he's heading out the door. Mechalink does have the hook now. He will be paid off a little bit better than just the crystal, because he did pick up that pink tail. I don't see it on the tracker, but
that's right.
But he did get that pink tail, so somebody will be going in with Adamant on that, which is very nice. And we're going for an Ice Brand Cane on that, which is always a little painful to see, but it will get the job done on Ravlin's side. And so, alright, Opta Jr. gonna probably opt to do some last second stocking up, but let's talk a little bit about the Zeromus fight. But first, before we decide to start talking about the Zeromus fight, first I'd like to congratulate Supremacy. Second place finish coming in now. Official SRL time of 1 hour, 16 minutes, and 07 seconds. I can talk, I promise. GG Supremacy, nice run. Yes, GG to you, Supremacy. That's a fine time, and glad to see some solid times coming in here. But yes, as Ravlin is ready to go into that fight, we're coming up on Zerobus, and we're gonna meet the last of our interesting flags, and I'm gonna be very Canadian here, the Z flag. Nice. Mechalink and Opta Jr., by the way, are high-fiving out of the underground and are going to Troya now together as well, so right on, good time. But yes, so Zeromus, the big Z, the final boss, the be-all and end-all, we're gonna save the world, has one major attack called Big Bang, which normally does about 2,000 damage to every character reduced by magic resistance. And he does a little bit more than that. You know, every few cycles, he'll throw in a nuke. He'll also use a black hole, which will strip buffs from people. This can be an issue. If you're too busy plugging holes healing, you may end up needing having trouble putting your berserks back up. And we've got Ganomus, because of course in a randomizer, of course our final boss is randomized. The sprite will change according to the Z flag. You've got me saying it like an American, gosh. I do good work. I have two things at this point in time. First, we're joined by Supremacy, but if you can give me just a moment, Supremacy, first and foremost, I'd like to congratulate Nightdew, who has come in finishing third with a time of 1 hour, 17 minutes, and 41 seconds. So GG Nightdew.
GG.
Yeah, so GG to you, Nightdew.
So, of course, I haven't had a lot of chance to talk to you yet, Supremacy. You're one of the newer runners in the community. You're one of the up-and-comers, and this is a result, certainly. Second place in a weekly. Very impressive stuff. How do you feel?
Really good, actually. I actually thought I was really behind, because Ordeals was the very last place that I did in the overworld.
Oh, hard not to be with those Mega Sisters there, because, ouch.
Yeah, you are not the only one who finished ordeals last out of the overworld. There were even a couple of people who went down and finished the Twin Heart before doing Mount Ordeals. So that is how it goes.
Yep, same. I actually did Twin Harp first as well. But by the time I got to Ordeals, I had Artemis arrows and a heroine robe on Porum, and she just made quick work of Mega Sisters. Also, I had 2 rune axes, so that kind of took care of them really easily.
That'll do it.
Absolutely. Good. So, how do you feel about the game in general? I like talking to the newer runners just because, they have so much perspective that maybe some of us who have been running this for a few months don't really have. What are your just general thoughts on this randomizer in general and how you play it?
I mean, I love it. Final Fantasy 4/2, whichever, if you're American or not, has always been kind of one of my favorites. So when I found this randomizer, it was like, wow, this is a completely brand new way to play the game. And I had been following the Link to the Past randomizer community for a long time. So it was cool to actually get one of a game that I'm actually pretty decent at. And then after joining, just watching a lot of the top people and just hanging around in the Discord, getting a whole bunch of tips from Rivers and a whole bunch of other people just kind of helped me get going and then just keep going from there. So
well, it's certainly paying off for you, because that is a fantastic time on, a deceptively straightforward seed that would still... It was tricky in a lot of ways.
Yeah, you would think with K2 flags that there might be some more trickiness to it, but no, everything was pretty much where it ended up needing to be. I got trolled at the end because after I found Crystal and dismissed Cecil, I found the Crystal Sword at Sheila.
Of course.
So it's
You're not the only one.
Yeah, that also ended up happening to Opta Jr. as well, who's on the stream right now fighting Zeromus, dealing with some counter nukes and the like. Opta Jr., again, being a longtime runner of this, is going with some wall strats here, reflecting some white spells onto Zeromus, which is an excellent way to do a lot of damage. But needs to also be concerned about keeping the party alive through some full power big bangs here, because with your reflect, there's no nerfs, so it can be a very tough situation to be in.
Yes, but it looks like he is making good use of that big old stack of Cure 3s, and he is alternating it with Cure 4s from Porum there.
Yeah, it looks like both Ravlin and Abda are resigned to soaking up full power big bangs at this point in time and trying to heal through them, but Ravlin takes a crushing blow. 3 characters downed by that big bang. Lots of damage being dealt out. The Crystal Sword doing work, though, but very, very tough stuff. So just...
I think that's it for Ravlin. That looks like a wipe to me.
That is a full power big bang on 3, and they're all down. That is a wipe. So Supremacy, any other last thoughts about this seed, or, I know you had hit the blocker boss on the Mega Sisters, any other troubles that you had before we let you go?
I was going to see, words. I was going to say, for me, Mega Sisters wasn't actually a blocker. I just decided to do Ordeals last. I actually slammed my head into Golbez a few times and then found Star Veils and was like, oh yeah, I should have done this sooner, or looked for these sooner.
Yeah, one of the interesting things about these flags, by the way, everybody, just so you're aware, is that Star Veils are guaranteed on the overworld, just in case. So you can find them somewhere if you go looking. So just keep that one in your back pocket.
Yeah, and that's a very helpful thing to remember, and believe that's new in our most recent version of the rando, just because there are those situations where you will need to be able to get a wall up on people.
Safeties against Asura, Bahamut, Wyvern, and Golbez.
Yes, because, if there are certain slots where you're not going to be able to win any other way.
Also, more importantly, Supremacy, you're signed up for the league, right?
The league, yes.
Obviously, everybody, we are running a league next month, so Highway to the Zema Zone kicks off next month if you're on our Discord. Check it out. You can pick up this game pretty quickly. I know I did when I first joined, and up-and-comers are putting up great times already, so we can all continue to improve and do better. So I'd love to see everybody come out. But of course, Supremacy, again, GG, nice run.
Yep, thank you. GG's to everyone.
Yes, and thanks for coming on.
Absolutely. I hope to see you more in the future as well.
Yeah, I hope to be here.
And yes, about that league. Not only is it up next month, we have just released our dates for our qualifying race, and more fantastic news, we have exceeded the 90 sign-up threshold. So that means instead of the top 16 players going to brackets, it will be the top 32. So right now, you don't have to be the best, you don't even have to be in the top 10, all you need to do is be in the top third of players right now, and you can make it to brackets.
And, you know, the major thing is you cannot make it to brackets if you don't show up. You don't have a chance of making the top 32 matches if you're not here. So get out, sign up. If you're interested, again, join the Discord, join us. We would be glad to have you there.
Yes, nobody bites unless asked.
Okay.
Oh.
Hi, Night Dew.
We don't buy much. I might need to turn it down a little bit. I'm getting a lot of background music here. I'm on the restream here.
Right. Right, and more importantly, just so everyone's aware, Obda Jr. has made it to Medio Phase with those reflected nukes and white spells, so I think he will be mopping up pretty quickly here. So we should see the big G go down in a moment. But Night Dew, GG.
He's done.
Nice.
Thank you very much.
And Obda Jr. has finished our first featured streamers in at 1:25 and 16 seconds. Great run, GG.
Yes, GG to you, Obda. That was a fantastic run, because that is a solid time here, yes.
All right, so Night Dew, how do you feel about this one? Third place, another top 3 for you. Lighting the world on fire recently.
A little bit. I mean, I kind of heard you talking a little bit before I jumped in, especially the Magus sisters. I did try to route a very quick ordeals. It bit me a little bit. I'm trying to do it with 3 characters. I'm thinking, hey, I've got a few guide drums. This will work, right? It did not work.
No, I expected it not.
Yeah, I've got a few Gaia drums was always a big cry for me into taking on bosses I probably shouldn't have as well, so I feel you there. So we do have a photo finish, by the way, backing it up in 5th and 6th place. We have Nirm finishing in 5th at a time of 1:26.13. 5 seconds later at 1:26.18 was Penguinator, who is one of our admins. So great run from the both of them. GG to both of them. But Night Dew, back to you. League coming up. Thoughts?
Is it next? Not this Friday. Is it time yet? I'm ready to go.
First one is in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Which I will sadly miss the first race because I'm not going to be around. But there's others. See, you know what? If you're off doing summer things, there's still a qualifier for you to get in on.
Oh,
and you
I get
only need
it.
to make one.
Yeah, and I hope everybody that can show up and everybody that wants to show up. I mean, it's going to be an awesome event.
Absolutely. So we're seeing a really big high five here on Zeromus as all 3 of our feature runners are pulling up at about an hour and a half, which is absolutely beautiful. It's good stuff to see everybody really pushing through here.
Yeah, it's a good time to be finishing up, and you know it's really nice to see all of our featured runners all coming up to the end right around the same time. There's nothing worse than watching somebody beat their head against the wall and struggle with the game. Here, everybody's on their way to victory.
Community's been doing really well about that. I think they're, I think everybody's just getting better by leaps and bounds, and I'm pretty sure, like, I mean, especially Supremacy, that's the second time he's beat me today. So, I mean, you know, Dark Horse for, you know, the tournament, possibly.
Yeah, I'll be looking forward to seeing his times, and...
Come on, guys, I'm on the stream!
And I know
Alright.
Radlin's first race was the same day as mine, and, you know, he's beating me usually, so...
Alright, I might want to
You should-
jump
you
off
should-
the stream here before
You should
somebody
pop-
says something, yeah.
Right, we don't want to get in trouble. Somebody should
Right.
probably go.
All
Always a
right.
pleasure, though, Night 2.
Yes.
Nice run today.
Mhm.
Yes.
Thank you.
And Zeromus is coming along for all three runners. Let's see where they're he's doing his Zeromus-y thing.
All right, we're going to have a moment, and we are going to bring in our top featured runner. We're going to bring in Opta Jr. in just a moment, which is very exciting. All three of our other runners are expertly navigating the big bangs, and Mechalink is doing a really good job of nerfing every single one so far.
I'm jealous, because I cannot do that.
I'm jealous I can't do that.
It's like I gauge my hit points when I go in there, too. I'm probably going to be taking most of these on the chin.
Yeah, that's why I like finding things like Sorcerer's Shirts, because I have a love of making sure that my mages at least have a bunch of magic defense in case I make a mistake. Not that I ever make mistakes on the Zeromus fight. I've never died here before.
Oh no, I'm sure. I believe you. Honest.
Alright, and Ravelin is looks like coming to a close, hitting the Meteo phase, but some missed dodges there, a little bit problematic, gonna drop to 2 characters, but with Yang alive, should punch through the last 10,000 or so hit points here without too much of an issue.
Yeah, this is still plenty doable there. Meteo phase, it's usually a victory lap. Sometimes it's not.
There's plenty of times that it's not, but again...
And we have Ravlin done in 7th place with an SRL time of 1:30.22.
And legitimately just behind, 11 seconds behind, we have Rexroll finishing in 8th place today. SRL time, 1 hour, 30 minutes, and 33 seconds. And it looks like we have Vitasia, who's going to be wrapping this up as well.
Yes. Come on, hit done. And Mechalink hits done before Vitasia does, with 1:30.59. Where are you, Vitasia? Get back. Is your IRC dead? Oh no. Oh, Vitasia has defeated Zeromus, but the timer is still running for them. Meanwhile, we have a 10th place finisher with Z-Man coming in at 1:31.17.
Having a hard time keeping up with all these times at this point, just watching everybody come through and come through and come through right now.
Yeah, so it looks like we probably haven't seen too many of these players follow that moon red herring at the very least, which is always good to see. The moon on K2 is one of those things where, you know, a lot of the time it seems like a good idea, a lot of the time it'll bite you in the butt.
Right, we're going to try and start pulling some people in here.
Okay, perfect. And I do hope Vitasia does manage to get back and dot done, because otherwise...
I figured out what happened. So, for everybody out there, I am about to give Rexroll the biggest apology on stream ever, because that was his stream. not Vitasia. Vitasia is still running right now. If you go look at his stream.
Oh my gosh.
So I apologize profusely. We had some cross-ups with restreaming at the start of this, and apparently they went through here. So Rex, you were being restreamed.
Oh my gosh.
I desperately need you in here so that I can basically apologize to you in person, and not just on the VOD, which you should go back and watch.
And just mentally replace, every instance of the word Vitasia with Rexroll.
And all the nice things that we said about Vitasia. I mean, although Vitasia's great, about
Yes,
Rexroll. But yeah, we'll need to start.
Oh my gosh.
We're gonna need to start pulling people in here. So just letting our admin know to get some people in here so we can talk to them. I mean, we can get all of them in at this point.
Yeah.
I did.
All right.
At the same time, did we all beat Niram?
No, he came in right after me.
Ah. Oh, that's right.
All right. So this is everybody from the featured stream, I believe, all at one time, which is not something you see every day. So GG, all 4 of you.
Yes,
Nothing can
GG
go
to
wrong.
all of you.
Yes,
Oh,
GG,
thank
guys.
you. GG to everyone.
Where do we start with this at this point in time? I'm bad at interviewing one person. Just before we start, I do have 2 more results. 11th place was Dipwood with a time of 1:33:49, and Dr. Spin is coming at 12th with a time of 1 hour, 35 minutes, and 26 seconds. All right. So, Neon, where do we start?
Let's start with where everybody else has started. How about those Mega Sisters?
Yeah, I tried using some sirens and leveling up and tried to fight him with 3 people, but it was a little too much, even with that.
I had a Gaia drum, and that really helped. So I was able. It took me 3 tries, but I got it down with just Keen, Cecil, and Rydia. So.
Yeah. I had already used both Gaia drums that I had found.
I had 1 left at that point, and luckily I was able to edge it out there.
Yeah.
Getting Mindy down was key because then the powerful magic wasn't being reflected at me.
It's tough with 3 people because by the time you get, your second round of attacks off, you've already lost 2 characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, if that wasn't a back attack spot, that wouldn't be an issue at all.
No, it would have been fine if it wasn't for the back attack.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, yeah, that is a boss that they like setup type, and that certainly gives it to you.
Yeah. Yeah, the early game was tough. It seemed like everywhere had a difficult boss to try and progress. Like you go into Baron Inn and Golbez is there, so you don't want to do that right away. And then your early key items were the Earth Crystal and the Harp. With Kanan Cecil, you can't really do too much without either leveling up or finding someone else.
And Rydia isn't a huge help at that point. I didn't find any summons for her.
I didn't either, no.
Nope, I ditched her for Palom when I could.
No, I still finished with Little Kid Rydia.
Yeah, I did too. I did both Black Benches and then promptly killed one off during Zeromas by accident and just left Palom dead.
It's not really a fight that needs a whole lot of black magic.
No.
So I know from a runner standpoint, Gravelin is decently experienced with this randomizer at this point. Rexroll is fairly new, and Opta Jr. has never played Final Fantasy IV before in his life. Isn't that correct?
I actually looked back at my highlights from 2011 or something like that for tutorials to do the duping and the MP glitch and all that, because I couldn't find it anywhere else.
Teacher, teach thyself?
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, I haven't done a ton of races, but I've been playing Free Enterprise casually for a couple months now, so I'm not super new to it.
Mm-hmm.
No, absolutely. And
Are
I
you
think
with us now, Mecca?
Should be.
There you are.
So I was last.
So you were last.
Gross.
Wow.
I did over level, so I guess I deserved it.
If you were last, I think
I
you were last
overleveled
by
too.
30 seconds.
By 30 seconds, yeah.
Yeah, you guys are all 1 hour and 30 minutes.
Yeah, I over leveled 54 on Cecil because I had Dwarf Axe.
I mean, that's
Oh.
sometimes a strong strat because you go Dwarf Axe to Crystal Sword and start just, doing work.
Right, and so I was fine, right? Like, and I figured I'd just make sure I finished, right? Like, but then I, of course, lost by 30 seconds.
And if you hadn't followed that terror key.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if we really want to talk about the tragedy, if I hadn't wiped to my first Zeromus fight,
I'll do it too.
We saw that happening, and it was just like when your white mage went down, and we saw things kind of falling apart. It was that was a little bit rough. Never a great feeling, and I think we all felt for you there at that point.
Yeah, that was not good to see. That so near and so far of it, and it just falling apart there.
I have this desire to I can save this fight. No, you can't. Just give it up.
Yeah. Gotta hit the reset